The ship was dying. Commander knew this. She had known it for 3 days now, ever since the raiders had torn through their hull like paper. There was a good ship, a proud ship, but even proud ships could only take so much damage before they began to fail. Stood on the bridge and watched the lights flicker. The air tasted wrong. The life support systems were struggling, and soon they would stop struggling altogether. 342 souls were aboard her vessel. Engineers, traders, families, children. All of them were counting on her to find a solution. But there were no solutions out here in the dark between stars. Commander, her navigation officer called out. His name was, and his voice was shaking. There is a planet nearby. It is called Earth. The humans live there. Felt her stomach turn. The humans. She knew very little about them. They were new to the galaxy. They had only joined the Allied Galactic Council 20 years ago. Most species considered them primitive, young, unimportant. Their technology was said to be basic. Their military was said to be small. They were traders and explorers, nothing more. But they had no other options. Send a distress signal, ordered. Tell them we need emergency repairs. Tell them we are willing to pay whatever they ask. Sent the message, then they waited. Expected silence. She expected delays. She expected the humans to ask questions, to demand credentials, to transfer her through layers of bureaucracy while her ship died around her. That was how things worked in the galaxy. Help was never free. Help was never fast. The response came in 12 minutes. A human woman appeared on the screen. She had a round face and warm eyes, and she was smiling. Her name appeared at the bottom of the transmission. United Earth Aerospace Command. Galactic Trade Vessel, we have received your distress signal. Emergency docking has been approved at Sol Orbital Station. We are sending a tug escort to guide you in. Medical teams are standing by. Please hold your current course. Blinked, you are not going to ask about payment. Tilted her head slightly. Your ship is damaged and your people are in danger. We can talk about everything else after you are safe. The tug will reach you in approximately 40 minutes. Please conserve your power and prepare for docking. The transmission ended. Stood in silence for a long moment, was staring at her with wide eyes. Neither of them knew what to say. The tug arrived exactly when the human had promised. It was a small vessel, ugly and practical, but it locked onto them with surprising gentleness. A human voice came through the communication system, calm and friendly, guiding them toward the orbital station. Sol Orbital Station was larger than had expected. It hung in the space above Earth like a silver wheel, spinning slowly against the black. Hundreds of ships were docked there, and more were coming and going like insects around a hive. The humans had more traffic than had imagined. They settled into an emergency berth, and the docking clamps locked into place. Felt the ship shudder and then go still. For the first time in 3 days, she allowed herself to breathe. The airlock opened, and the humans came aboard. There were 12 of them. They wore simple uniforms and carried tools and equipment. Their leader was a young man with messy hair and grease stains on his hands. He smiled when he saw, and he bowed his head slightly in greeting. Commander, my name is. I am the lead engineer for this repair team. We are here to help. Straightened her spine. I must warn you, the damage is severe. Our own engineers estimated 3 weeks of work at minimum, and we will need to discuss payment and contracts before you begin. Was already looking past her, studying the damaged walls, the flickering lights, the scorch marks where the weapons had burned through. He nodded slowly, his eyes moving from problem to problem. 3 weeks, he repeated. Okay, we will see what we can do. He turned to his team and started giving orders in the human language. They scattered through the ship like water flowing through cracks, each one moving with purpose. Wait, said, we have not discussed terms. Looked back at her. His smile was gentle, almost confused. Commander, your life support is failing. Your people are breathing bad air. We can talk about credits and contracts later. Right now, let us make sure nobody dies." He walked away before she could respond. Watched the humans work. They moved quickly but carefully. They talked to each other constantly, sharing information, asking questions, solving problems together. One of them found a crack in the oxygen recycler and began repairing it immediately. Another discovered a fault in the power distribution system and called for additional tools. Within 2 hours, the air began to taste better. Found herself standing in the corridor, watching a young human woman work on a damaged panel. The woman noticed her watching and smiled. "Your ship is beautiful," the woman said. "Old design but very strong. The people who built this knew what they were doing." "Thank you," said. She did not know what else to say. The woman returned to her work, humming a soft tune under her breath. By the end of the first day, it was stable. The life support was functioning. The engine core was no longer in danger of failing. The humans had worked for 14 hours without stopping, and now they were preparing to return to the station for rest. Found on the bridge, he looked tired but satisfied. "We will be back tomorrow morning," he said. "There is still much work to do, but your ship will survive. Your people are safe now." Wanted to thank him. She wanted to ask why they had helped so quickly, so freely, without demanding anything in return. But the words would not come. Seemed to understand. He smiled and patted her gently on the arm. "Get some rest, Commander. You look like you need it." Then he was gone. Stood alone on the bridge of her dying ship, surrounded by the evidence of human kindness, and she wondered what kind of species she had stumbled upon. The humans returned every morning at exactly the same time. Learned to expect the sound of the airlock opening, the voices calling greetings, the steady rhythm of tools against metal. She had never seen any species work the way humans worked. They did not take long breaks. They did not complain about difficult tasks. When they found a problem, they solved it. When they found a bigger problem, they called more humans to help. Their teamwork was strange and beautiful, like watching a single organism with many hands. By the fourth day, the basic repairs were complete. Stood in the engine room and stared at the core. It was running smoothly. The sound it made was healthy and strong. Her own engineers had said it would take 3 weeks. The humans had done it in 4 days. Appeared beside her, wiping his hands on a cloth. "The engine is stable now. You could leave today if you wanted." Nodded slowly. "I am grateful, more grateful than I can say. Please tell me what we owe you, and I will arrange payment immediately." Laughed softly. "Commander, we do not want your money." "I do not understand." "Your ship helped evacuate 300 people from station last cycle. We read about it in the news. You risked your crew to save strangers. That means something to us." He shrugged. "Consider this our way of saying thank you." Did not know how to respond. In her experience, no species gave without expecting something in return. Favors were recorded. Debts were tracked. The galaxy ran on transactions, not kindness. But before she could argue, another human approached. This one was a woman with short hair and clever eyes. Her name was, and she was the lead systems engineer. "Commander, I have a question for you," said. She held it in her hands. "We noticed some issues with your ship, not damage from the attack, design problems, things that could be improved." Felt her body tense. What kind of improvements? Showed her it displayed diagrams and numbers that did not fully understand. "Your shield system is outdated. It uses an old frequency pattern that wastes about 40% of your power. We could upgrade it to a newer design. Your shields would be twice as strong with the same energy cost." "And what would this upgrade cost?" Looked confused. She glanced at, then back at. "Nothing. We are already here. We have the parts. It would only take a few days." Felt dizzy. "Why would you do this?" Smiled. "Because it would be wrong not to. Your ship is good, but it could be better. If we can help, we should help. That is just how we think." Over the next week, The humans transformed They upgraded the shield generators. They improved the power distribution system. They replaced the old sensor array with a newer model that could see twice as far. They strengthened the hull plating in weak areas. They installed backup systems for critical functions. Watched all of this with growing disbelief. She tried several times to stop them, to insist that she could not accept such gifts without payment. Each time, the humans smiled and waved away her concerns. "It is nothing," they said. "We are happy to help." One evening, found herself sitting in the mess hall with her senior officers. They were eating food that the humans had provided, simple but good, while discussing what was happening to their ship. "This makes no sense," said her navigation officer. "No species gives away military-grade technology for free. There must be a trap somewhere." "I agree," said the chief engineer. "They must want something from us. Information, perhaps, access to our trade routes, political influence in the council." Shook her head slowly. "I have watched them carefully. I have listened to their conversations. They speak openly without hidden meanings. When they say they want nothing in return, I believe they mean it." "That is impossible," said. "No one is that generous." "Perhaps humans are different," said quietly. "Perhaps we have been in the galaxy so long that we have forgotten what true kindness looks like." Her officers fell silent. None of them had an answer. On the final day of work, asked to come to the weapons bay. She followed him with curiosity and a small amount of fear. The weapons bay had been empty for years. There was a trade vessel, not a warship. Her weapons were old and weak, barely enough to scare away small pirates. But when entered the bay, she found it transformed. New weapon mounts lined the walls. Fresh power conduits ran through the ceiling. A targeting computer that she did not recognize sat in the center of the room, blinking with quiet lights. "We could not leave you defenseless," said. "Not after what they did to you. These are not the most powerful weapons in the galaxy, but they are good. They will keep you safe." Felt her eyes burning. In her culture, crying was shameful, a sign of weakness, but she could not help it. Tears began to fall down her face, slow and hot. "Why?" she asked. Her voice was broken. "Why do you give us so much? Why do you ask for nothing?" Stepped closer. He put a hand on her shoulder, gentle and warm. "Because you needed help," he said simply, "and we could provide it. That is all the reason we need." Looked around the weapons bay, at the gifts she had never asked for, and she realized something important. She had traveled the galaxy for 40 years. She had met hundreds of species. She had learned their customs, their languages, their ways of thinking. She had believed she understood how the universe worked. But she had never met anyone like the humans. They were young. They were small. They were considered unimportant by the great powers of the galaxy. But they were the kindest people had ever known. And she knew somehow that this kindness was not weakness. It was strength of a different kind, a strength that the galaxy had forgotten. As she prepared to leave Earth, made a promise to herself. She would remember what the humans had done. She would tell others about their generosity. She would make sure that the galaxy knew the truth about this strange, wonderful species. The humans deserved nothing less. During the second week of repairs, the station commander invited to visit the command center. His name was, and he was older than the other humans she had met. His hair was turning gray at the edges, and his eyes carried the weight of many years and many decisions. Accepted the invitation because she wanted to understand the humans better. She wanted to know why they behaved the way they did. Perhaps, she thought, their leaders would be different. Perhaps the commanders would be harder, colder, more like the leaders of other species. She was wrong. Met her at the entrance to the command center with a warm smile and a firm handshake. He walked beside her through the corridors, explaining the station's operations with pride and patience. He asked about her crew, her ship, her home world. He seemed genuinely interested in her answers. "You are very different from the commanders I have known," said finally. Laughed. I will take that as a compliment. Come, let me show you where the real work happens. The command center was large and busy. Dozens of humans sat at stations, watching screens, talking into communication devices, coordinating the movements of ships and supplies. The walls displayed maps of the solar system, trade routes, weather patterns, schedules. Everything was organized and efficient. Notice something strange. Almost every human in the room was holding a cup, and almost every cup contained the same dark liquid. What is that? She asked, pointing. Looked down at the cup in his own hand. He had been holding it since they met, sipping from it regularly. This is coffee. It is a drink we make from the seeds of a plant that grows on Earth. Everyone here is drinking it. Everyone on the station drinks it, said with amusement. Everyone on Earth drinks it. It is very popular among our species. Studied the liquid with suspicion. It was black and steaming. It did not look pleasant. What does it do? It wakes us up. It helps us think clearly. It gives us energy when we are tired. Tilted his head. Would you like to try some? Hesitated. Her species was careful about consuming substances from other worlds. There were rules and regulations, safety protocols, medical screenings, but she was curious and seemed trustworthy. Very well, she said. I will try a small amount. Led her to a machine in the corner of the room. It was silver and complicated, with many buttons and lights. He pressed several buttons in sequence, and the machine began to make noise. Dark liquid poured into a cup, releasing a rich and bitter smell. He handed the cup to. Be careful, it is hot. Take a small sip first. Raised the cup to her lips. The smell was strong, almost overwhelming. She took a tiny sip. The taste was bitter, very bitter, not sweet like the drinks her people preferred, but there was something else underneath the bitterness, something deep and complex. She swallowed and waited. Within seconds she felt something change. Her mind sharpened, her tiredness faded, her hearts began to beat faster, colors seemed brighter, sounds seemed clearer. She felt awake in a way she had not felt in weeks. This is a stimulant, she said, alarmed. Yes, agreed calmly. A powerful stimulant. Some would say so, yes. Stared at him. And you drink this every day. Many times every day. Some humans drink 5 or 6 cups. Are there not regulations, controls, health concerns? Smiled. Commander, we have been drinking coffee for centuries. It is part of our culture. We do not function well without it. Some of us become quite unpleasant if we do not have our morning cup. Looked around the command center again. Now she understood the energy she saw in every human, the quick movements, the sharp eyes, the constant activity. They were all powered by this dark liquid. Your species is very strange, she said. Laughed deeply. We hear that often. Please drink more if you wish. There is always plenty. Took another sip, then another. By the time the cup was empty, she felt more alive than she had in years. The exhaustion that had been pressing on her for weeks was gone. Her mind was racing with thoughts and ideas. I understand now, she said quietly. I understand why your people work so hard, why they never seem to stop. Coffee helps, admitted. But it is not just the coffee. We are simply a restless species. We always want to do more, learn more, build more. Sitting still makes us uncomfortable. He looked at her with kind eyes. You seem like a restless person yourself, Commander. Perhaps you and the humans are not so different. Considered his words. Perhaps he was right. On the day before they was scheduled to depart, a young human woman came to quarters. Her name was Sara, and she worked in logistics. She was carrying a large crate and she was smiling. Commander, I have a gift for you, Sara said, from the station crew. She opened the crate. Inside were dozens of sealed packages, each one labeled with the same word, coffee. There was also a small machine, similar to the one in the command center, and a book of instructions translated into the language. We wanted you to have this for your journey, Sora explained. So you can remember Earth, and so you can share this part of our culture with others. Was speechless. She looked at the crate, at the precious gift inside, at the young woman who had carried it here. Thank you, she managed to say. Thank you so much. Sora bowed her head politely. Safe travels, Commander. We hope you will visit us again someday. After Sora left, sat beside the crate for a long time. She thought about everything that had happened since they arrived at Earth. The repairs, the upgrades, the kindness, and now this. Coffee. It was such a small thing, just a drink made from plant seeds, but it meant so much more than that. It was a piece of humanity, a gift freely given, a symbol of friendship between two species that had only just met. Knew that she would never forget this moment, and she knew that wherever she traveled in the galaxy, she would carry a piece of Earth with her. One cup of coffee at a time. On the final night before they was scheduled to leave, Commander invited to dinner. It was a private meal, just the two of them, in a small room overlooking Earth. Through the window could see the planet below. It was blue and green and white, covered in oceans and forests and clouds. It looked peaceful, beautiful, the home of a young and gentle species. The meal was simple but delicious. The humans had taken care to prepare food that could eat safely. They had studied nutrition requirements and created dishes that met her needs. Even now, even in this small gesture, their thoughtfulness touched her. After they finished eating, put down his utensils and looked at her with serious eyes. His usual warmth was still there, but something else had joined it, something heavy. Commander, he said, there is something I must tell you, something important. Felt her body tense. She had been waiting for this moment, the moment when the trap was revealed, the moment when the humans would finally ask for something in return. Go on, she said carefully. Folded his hands on the table. We know why they attacked your ship. Froze. That information was classified at the highest level. Only High Command knew the details of the ambush. Not even her crew knew the full truth. That is impossible, she said. No one outside my government could know that. And yet we do. His voice was calm but firm. The attack was not random. They are testing response times. They are probing the defenses of the Allied Council species. They are preparing for something larger. How do you know this? Because we have been watching them for a very long time. Shook her head slowly. The humans have only been in the galaxy for 20 years. You are a minor species. You do not have the resources to spy on the Dominion. Smiled, but there was no humor in it. That is what we want everyone to believe. He stood and gestured toward a door at the back of the room. Come with me, Commander. There is something I want to show you. Followed him through the door, down a long corridor, past several security checkpoints. At each checkpoint, the guards saluted and allowed them to pass without question. Finally, they reached a large room with a massive window on one side. This is our observation deck, said. The sensors here are very powerful. They can see things that ordinary sensors cannot. He pressed several buttons on a control panel. The window flickered and the view changed. Instead of Earth, now saw a different part of space. The moon hung in the center of the image, gray and silent. But there was something else, something in the shadow of the moon, something her eyes could barely make out. What am I looking at? She asked. Pressed another button. The sensors increased their power. The image sharpened. And saw the fleet. Ships, hundreds of ships, maybe thousands. They floated in the darkness behind the moon, hidden from view, powered down and silent. But even in the darkness could see their shapes, warships, carriers, destroyers, massive dreadnoughts with weapons that could crack a planet in half. This was not a defense force. This was not a patrol squadron. This was an armada, a full military armada capable of fighting a galactic war. Could not breathe. Her hearts were pounding so hard that she thought they might burst. How long, she whispered, how long have you had this? Since before we joined the council, said quietly. We built it in secret, we trained our people in silence, we watched and we waited. But why hide it? Why pretend to be weak? Turned to face her. His expression was sad but determined. Commander, we studied the galaxy before we revealed ourselves. We learned its history. We saw how the strong prey upon the weak. We saw how new species are tested, targeted, sometimes destroyed before they can grow. So we made a choice. We would appear weak. We would appear harmless. And we would build our true strength where no one could see it. Looked back at the fleet. Each ship was dark and still, like a predator waiting to strike. The Council thinks you are a minor species. They think you have a small, military, outdated technology, no real power. Yes, and that is exactly what we want them to think. But you said they are preparing an attack. Nodded. Our intelligence suggests they will strike within 18 months. They are our friends. They were kind to us when we first joined the Council. We will not abandon them. You are going to war. If necessary, yes. We will defend our allies. We will fight alongside them. And we will show the galaxy what humanity is truly capable of. Turned back to the window. The fleet was still there, silent and deadly, waiting for the moment when it would be needed. They have no idea, she said. They think they are the strongest power in this region. They think no one can stop them. They are wrong, said simply. And when they learn the truth, it will be too late. Felt something shift inside her. Her understanding of humans changed forever in that moment. They were not weak. They had never been weak. They were the most dangerous species she had ever encountered. But they were also the kindest. That combination terrified her, and it filled her with hope. You showed me this for a reason, she said. What do you want from me? Shook his head. We want nothing. We showed you because you deserve to know. You were attacked by you nearly died. You have a right to understand what is coming. And you trust me with this secret. Looked at her with warm eyes. You are a good person, Commander. You risked your ship to save strangers at station. You treat your crew with kindness and respect. Yes, we trust you. He placed a hand on her shoulder. All we ask is that you keep this secret for now. We are not ready to reveal ourselves. Not yet. But when the time comes, we will stand with our allies. I promise you that. Looked at the fleet one more time. Then she looked at this quiet man who commanded unimaginable power and chose to use it only to protect others. I will keep your secret, she said. You have my word. Smiled and the warmth returned to his face. Thank you, Commander. Now shall we finish our coffee? I believe there is still some left. Despite everything, found herself laughing. The humans truly were the strangest species in the galaxy. And perhaps the most wonderful. The morning of departure was quiet and beautiful. Earth hung in the darkness of space, blue and peaceful, hiding its secrets well. Stood on the bridge of and watched it through the viewport. Her ship was transformed. The hull was stronger. The engines were faster. The weapons were sharper. The humans had given her a vessel worthy of a fleet admiral, and they had asked for nothing in return. Her crew was preparing for the journey home. They moved through the corridors with energy and purpose, checking systems and securing cargo. Could hear their voices echoing through the ship, full of wonder and confusion. They still did not understand why the humans had helped them so much. Neither did really, but she was starting to accept that perhaps she did not need to understand. Perhaps some things simply were. Perhaps kindness did not always need a reason. The airlock chimed and a group of humans came aboard. Was there and Sora. They were smiling but also sad. Goodbyes were always difficult. Commander said, stepping forward, we wanted to see you off. Felt warmth spreading through her chest. Thank you, all of you, for everything. Handed her a small device. This is a communication beacon. If you ever need help, activate it. We will hear you no matter how far away you are. And if you ever come back to Earth, there will always be a place for you at Sol Station, Sora added. You are our friend now. Took the beacon carefully. It was small and light, barely larger than her palm, but she knew it carried the weight of a promise. I do not know how to repay you, she said. You have given me so much. Shook his head. You do not need to repay us, just stay safe. Take care of your crew, and if you meet other travelers who need help, help them if you can. That is all we ask. Thought about those words. They were so simple, and yet they carried such power. Help others if you can. Pay kindness forward. Create a chain of generosity that stretched across the stars. Perhaps that was the secret of humanity. Perhaps that was why they were so strong despite appearing so weak. They built connections instead of walls. They offered hands instead of weapons. They invested in relationships instead of transactions. And in doing so, they created allies who would stand with them forever. The humans departed and the airlock sealed behind them, watched them through the viewport as they walked back toward the station, turned and waved one last time, raised her hand in response. Then she turned too, prepare for departure, set a course for home. They detached from Sol Station and began to move. Earth grew smaller behind them, a blue jewel in the endless dark. Watched it until it was just a point of light, and then even that light faded. But she did not forget. She would never forget. 18 months later, the Dominion launched their attack. The assault on them was massive and brutal. 300 warships descended on the planet like predators on prey. They expected fear. They expected surrender. They expected an easy victory. For 6 hours they were right. The defense fleet fought bravely but was overwhelmed. Ships burned and fell. Cities were bombarded. The situation grew desperate. And then the sky changed. Jump points opened across the system, dozens of them at once. Ships poured through like a flood, filling the darkness with light and steel. Human ships, Earth ships. The hidden fleet finally revealed. Commander led the first wave. His voice came through every communication channel, calm and clear. Command, this is the United Earth Navy. We are here to help. Hold your positions. Captain brought her carrier group into formation, launching fighters in perfect waves. Admiral coordinated the battle from the dreadnought Sol Rising, giving orders with precision and confidence. They were stunned. They had prepared for they had not prepared for humanity. They had believed the humans were weak, primitive, unimportant. They had believed wrong. The battle shifted in hours. Human weapons tore through shields. Human tactics confused and disrupted their formations. Human courage matched their aggression and exceeded it. By the time the sun rose over the capital, the fleet was broken. Some ships retreated. Others surrendered. Many were destroyed. The galaxy watched in shock. The humans, the minor species, the young and naive newcomers, had just defeated one of the most feared military powers in the region. And they had done it to protect their friends. Across the galaxy, species reconsidered what they knew about humanity. The Council debated endlessly about what this meant. Ambassadors sent careful messages to Earth, expressing admiration and concern, but knew the truth better than any of them. She was on her ship when the news reached her. She sat in her quarters, holding a cup of coffee, and listened to the reports. She thought about his quiet strength. She thought about his gentle smile. She thought about all the humans who had helped her when she had nothing to offer in return. They had hidden their power for years. They had pretended to be weak when they were strong. They had waited in silence, building and preparing until the moment when they were needed. And when that moment came, they did not hesitate. Finished her coffee and stood up. She walked to the bridge, where her crew was watching the news feeds with wide eyes. Commander said, his voice shaking, "The humans, they are not what we thought they were." Smiled, "No, they are not, they are much more." She thought about the fleet hidden in the shadow of the moon. She thought about the coffee machines on every deck. She thought about words on the day she left Earth. Help others if you can. Pay kindness forward. The humans had lived by those words. And now, the galaxy knew what that kindness could become when it was paired with strength. Looked at the stars through the viewport. Somewhere out there, the humans were already preparing for what came next. They would rebuild. They would heal. They would continue to offer friendship and aid to anyone who needed it. And if another enemy rose to threaten the innocent, they would fight again. That was who they were: quiet giants, hidden warriors, guardians who disguised their power behind cups of coffee and easy smiles. Was honored to call them friends. And she knew with absolute certainty that the galaxy would never be the same.